In today's video, we are looking at sequencing in the downswing, and we're going to show you how this can really influence your ability to create more lag, to give you better quality of strikes and more distance. So back here once again at the Forest of Arden on a pretty frosty morning, talking about sequencing, lag, and how the two can work together to help you with your golf game, and specifically helping you with your ball contact and also probably a little bit of club head speed, resulting in a little bit more distance out on the golf course as well. So in this particular video, you're going to learn about the correct sequence that needs to happen within the downswing. We call it the kinematic sequence. You're also going to learn a dry drill without a golf ball to help you feel and sense this. And then you're also going to learn how to take that through to a golf shot with a golf ball to really implement this into your golf game. Just before we go into these little topics, if you're not a subscriber, if you've just stumbled across my channel, I would love you to be a subscriber and part of our community. It is absolutely free to join. There is a link in the description box below, and when you click that subscribe button, hit the little bell icon as well. That just means you'll be notified when I do upload a video and you won't miss any of the content. So sequencing is really important. It's one of those things which is potentially a little bit hard to see unless you've got a really trained eye or you've got some software which is measuring that. But we know that there are some sequences that the better players tend to adhere to that helps them play the game to a pretty high level. So let's say we've made a backswing. We would tend to find that the first thing to start its movement towards the target, or we could call that the downswing, would be the lower body. So we measure that through the hips. So the hips would start their movement towards the target. At some point they would tend to slow down, and then the chest would start to speed up. At some point that would slow down, the arm would speed up, and at some point that would slow down and the club would speed up. And so the energy gets passed from hips to torso to arm to club in that order. That's not what we always see with the higher handicappers. We tend to see the sequence slightly rearranged or slightly incorrect, and that really results in a lack of power. So we're going to look and focus specifically in this video about the lead arm and the upper body. So if I was to, I'm going to pop that club here, place my lead arm into a position which is, let's say, around about horizontal to the ground. If I was to start my sequence correct with my hips and then my torso, because my torso would be moving towards the target before my lead arm, as I create that little movement, my lead arm would actually get squeezed more into my chest on my left hand side. So as I start to rotate my torso but I leave my arm in place, I create this little bit of a squeeze, and I can sort of sense that here. At some point that arm starts to accelerate off my chest, but in that transitional phase we want to feel that arm is being squeezed into the chest. And it's not being squeezed into the chest because the arm is being pulled back into the chest. The arm is actually staying in place. It's the fact that I'm starting to rotate my chest which creates that little bit of squeeze. So the first little exercise I want you to do is similar to what I've just done there. Take my starting position, make a rough backswing to about here, and just take my trail hand and just hook it underneath my lead arm. And I'm going to try to hold that lead arm in place. And I want to be aware of the contact between my lead arm and my chest. And as I initiate this movement down with my hips and my torso in that order, I can really start to feel my left arm getting squeezed into my chest. So as I start with my hips and my torso, I really feel my lead arm is being squeezed a lot more across my chest. Now at some point, as I approach the golf ball, that lead arm would start to release off the chest, and that's when I'm really starting to deliver that speed. But that's a really good little exercise for you to kind of sense what's going to happen. The difficult here is in a full golf swing at 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, it's very difficult to sense those things happening, but they do happen. So the next little exercise, we take that to a kind of flowing motion with no golf ball. And I'm going to get you to do this one hand only with your lead hand. Take an address, and what you're going to do here is you're going to kind of move the club back into what would be a pretty good backswing position. And when your lead arm approaches about halfway back, you're going to start the process of rotating your hips, rotating your chest to try and create that squeeze that we just rehearsed in that previous movement. So let's go ahead and do that. Pop your trail arm behind your back, something along those lines, and you're just going to make a little golf swing. And you can see how the transition is enabling me to create those sensations that I had a moment ago in that drill without the ball. And I can really sense that. Now I can take that through and make a golf swing. And I'm really trying to work on the transition part. So when my golf club moves from moving away from the target towards the target. And when my golf club stops moving back and it starts to move towards the target, so we'd maybe consider that as the end of the backswing, the start of the downswing, the hips of the torso have already started, you know, before that. Now when I say before that, it's not seconds, it's milliseconds, but they are starting before that. So this is a great exercise for anyone who struggles with sequencing. And really, I'm just so aware of my lead arm and my chest, that relationship, and creating that relationship there. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to take my setup to a golf ball, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm going to leave both hands on. But as I go back, again, I feel that same sensation, and I'm going to clip the ball maybe some 60 yards. So very, very short shot. It's only gone 50 yards through the air. But the sole purpose of that drill is not to hit a really high draw that goes 170 yards. It's to create a sequence, which might be new, might be different. It's to create some sensations that, again, might be new, might be different. To build a concept of what should happen and build some awareness of what movements I need to make and how I need to organise my body in order to create those things. And those are the kind of things that you're trying to do in your practice. You're trying to get the concept clear. What am I trying to do? What's that going to feel like? What movements do I need to implement in order for that to happen? How do I take that to a golf ball? All these processes you have to go through in order to be able to take that onto the golf course and perform with that new movement. But many golfers out there who are struggling with strike, distance, ball flight, consistency, we can link that back to a poor sequence. The hips maybe don't start first, it's maybe the upper body or the arms. So this is a great drill for anyone working on sequencing. And if you're in a place in the world right now where it is winter, as we are here, great to be able to do this at home, you know, without the golf club, and just get used to moving the body in the correct order, the correct sequence, because that's the best way for you to develop power and efficiency within your golf swing. So I really hope that helps. A little bit of sequencing, helping with a little bit of lag to improve your strike and your distance when you ultimately get out onto the golf course. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff, as always, is below. Comments box, like button. And if you feel this video would help someone that you know, please share it with them. And also, please consider subscribing by using the button over here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again soon.